Hi there, it's Beauty Junkie. Welcome to my channel. Today's video I am getting into the brand Makeup Geek. I wanted to do a throwback video. I don't think I've ever featured this brand on my channel, but I wanted to highlight some of their eyeshadows because they're actually closing. This brand is closing up April 2022. They're having a 40% off sale on their website, I believe on everything. Yes, site-wide discount applied at checkout. The only products I really have left is still in my collection from this brand is eyeshadow singles. So I have a whole bunch of them. I can't guarantee the formula that I have is the same as the formula they have on their website, but it seems like a lot of the shade names are the same. I recognize a lot of them. So I wanted to do like a couple of swatches, give you a quick overview of my thoughts on the brand, kind of reminisce, talk about, you know, the brand closing, what that means, and just my thoughts on this whole thing. Because I think, you know, this was one of the first or the first makeup brand that came from an influencer. So it's kind of a big deal that the brand is gonna be no longer. It's really sad actually, so I just wanted to talk about that a little bit as well. So as you guys may have heard, Makeup Geek is closing. Now I wondered exactly why, and it turns out I think the main reason obviously is sales have gone down quite a bit because of COVID, but what also contributed is this Makeup Geek did a rebrand in January 2020. I'm reading this off an article. I'm hoping it's true. They did a rebrand in January 2020 that sold out almost instantly, and a bunch of people joined the restock list, and they were not able to replenish. They were not able to restock the products until the end of 2020. So that's like a whole year of people getting on the wait list and not getting their products. So obviously that's a huge hit, if you can imagine. Just to give you guys some context, like why is this a brand closing a big deal? Apparently in its heyday, this brand grew to over 22 million in annual sales. I'm not sure when that heyday was. I feel like I was pretty late to the game getting into this brand and buying a bunch of eyeshadows, but I think it was quite a few years ago. But then it began selling in Target. I guess that had its challenges. I don't know obviously the full details of the full history of this brand. I know they had some controversies going on with this brand for a little bit. And I don't know that it really kept up with the times in terms of social media. This article is talking about how, you know, they didn't get into TikTok as much or Instagram. I don't know if that's true. But I think it's one of those beginning influencer brands from the very start that a lot of people jumped on. And I think one of the biggest things with this makeup brand is the affordability and the quality being there. So that's what I noticed. That's what I liked about these eyeshadows. I picked up a bunch. I think I picked up maybe a blush or a highlighter, but that has since left my collection. I also got some really great magnetic palettes from this brand that I'm still using. This one, and I have a couple smaller ones that I'm still using. So, I mean, even though this brand's gonna go, I am gonna miss it, even though, you know, I haven't really revisited the brand since its rebranding. I kind of moved on to other things, and I think a lot of other people did as well. But it is sad to kind of see it go. But let's get into these eyeshadows in case you're interested in picking something up. Again, I cannot guarantee the formula is going to be the same, but I thought it would be good at least to reminisce. Maybe you have some of these eyeshadows in your collection too. Maybe you want to pull them out again. I thought it would be kind of fun to get into these oldies but goodies. I know right before, actually maybe a year or two before I started my channel in 2020, I went through my makeup and realized I have so much old crap in my makeup. It seems like I have a lot, but I really don't. And I didn't have a lot of basic colors. So for some reason, instead of going into the palettes like everyone else, I thought I need to pick up a bunch of basic colors, some new eyeshadows, some good quality, some affordable stuff. So I landed on this brand, and I looked into Jaclyn Hill's videos and her recommendations on what colors I should get. So I ended up picking up all of these. And I have to say, it's been a really long time since I've dived into these. I don't think I ever really used these on my channel that much, just because I don't think the demand for Makeup Geek videos is really out there anymore. But I wanted to do this video anyway. Let's do a few swatches of some eyeshadows. So this here is Cosmopolitan, and this is like a peachy shimmer. I mean, how pretty is that? You guys can see the quality is here with this brand. This is Cocoa Bear. Cocoa Bear. I mean, these are not like groundbreaking colors, but I think when this brand first came out, it was kind of a big deal. Everyone was really into it. Some of these mattes are pretty dry, but they're not new. They're definitely a couple years old now. Desert Sands. I don't know for sure which ones were super popular. I feel like Cocoa Bear was. This brown one. This is Peach Smoothie. Very light matte peach shade. This is Bitten. I think it might have a little bit of hard pan happening here, but this is like a maroon matte. This is Bitten. Yeah. Not so great at being swatched right now. Grandstand. This is a beautiful bronzy color. I think one of their more popular ones. That's really pretty. This is In the Spotlight. Also, I believe this one you can get online still if it's not sold out by the time you guys see this one. That one is beautiful. This one is Starry Eyed. I don't know if this, let's see, is this one online? Yes, this one is online. And I'm looking at the prices. $8.49 for this one, definitely more than what I paid several years ago. So prices have gone up, which makes sense for inflation, but I remember these being like $5, $6. That one's really pretty. This, I believe, is a popular neutral. This is Creme Brulee. Just doing a bunch of swatches here. It's not really swatching that well. It's a little bit old. That's Creme Brulee. This is, I think, another popular one by Jaclyn Hill that she promoted. This is Barcelona Beach. These are not like by means anything that you haven't seen before, but I mean, at the time these were like really good staples in a lot of people's collections. Homecoming, another kind of bronzy moment. Whimsical. This is a beautiful like purple pastel. That's a really fun one. So the rest in my palette here, so we got, you know, a good amount of, I think, popular swatches, but the rest of these, I think that I don't really remember these shades being talked about much, like some of these greens. I have some random ones in here that I just picked out that I liked, but these are really good quality. I will say, you know, I think a lot of you, if you guys go back to some of the products in your collection, they're a little bit older. Powder eyeshadows don't really, I mean, they go bad, but a lot of people continue to use powders many years after expiration. I think it's fine as long as you don't see, you know, eye irritation. But I do notice, like, swatching these are pretty dry. I think we've all probably experienced a lot more buttery shadows these days after Makeup Geek, you know, kind of came out with their shadows. There's a lot of other brands that are just a lot smoother and more buttery, but you know, a nice matte that it doesn't always, you know, a good matte, it doesn't have to be super smooth. I mean, even though it's a little bit dry, a lot of these eyeshadows I'm sure are still really gonna work on my eyes. So I just wanted to also do a demonstration of some of these colors on my eyes, just to show you, like, just to show you what these things can do, even though they're a little bit older. All right, so let's get into a little application. Now I just have to figure out what I want to use. So I have 4 shades here. I'll do a little quad for you. So this is Voltage Desert Sands, Cocoa Bear, and In the Spotlight. That's what I'm going to be using today. So I'm going to start with Desert Sands for a very scrumptious, warm ass eye. I have to say I have a lot of cooler, more neutral tones in here that are also very tempting to dip into. So I'm using a natural hair brush. Most of my brushes are natural hair. And this, I don't have any primer. I have a little bit of foundation on my eyelid. Look how nice that is. I mean, this is, it's just amazing how far eyeshadows have come. Look at that pigment. I mean, this is great. I know everyone has their preference on eyeshadows and formulations and which one's the best. Honestly, this is an excellent quality brand. Back in the day, they had a lot more eyeshadow colors and formulations to choose from. Things are much smaller now. When I look at the website, there's a lot less available. But honestly, this works. This works for me. I'm going to use the same shade underneath my eye, Desert Sands. Taking Cocoa Bear and putting this on the outside here. Ooh, I put a lot more on that side. Blending, blending. I'm moving on to some rougher brushes. Before that, I was using Sonia G. I feel like part of the story that kind of amazes me with YouTube and influencer created brands, I know some people shy away from those types of brands, but I think it epitomizes the American dream. Like, you know, having people enjoy your content on whatever platform, people realizing the value of that, investing in you, that person being able to get their product out there, be creative. It's a very cool idea. Now, I know not everyone's like really supportive of it, but I think it allows a different path than that we didn't really see before, to people, you know, getting their name out there, getting their opinion out there in a different way. You have all these people that value your opinion. It makes sense business-wise that you start a product, start a brand. I don't know, at least it makes sense to me. All right, so a couple more eyeshadows here. This really fun In the Spotlight shade I'm gonna use across the lid. This peachy, pinky goodness. That really lightens things up a bit. And adds a bit more of a neutral tone back to this eye, rather than being like pure warm. It's not the most foily, but it's really pretty. I mean, I think these colors are really wearable. These formulas are really wearable and kind of idiot proof, you know, like as long as you know how to use a blending brush to a certain degree, I think you can make these eyeshadows work. So onto the last shade here, I have Voltage, which is this gorgeous yellowy kind of a shade. Not sure that I swatched Voltage, but it's kind of a yellowy light gold. I'm gonna put this over in the corner. And it's somewhat contrasting to the shade on my lid, but I'm kind of digging that. The In the Spotlight's definitely more of a neutral, almost pink leaning shimmer, but the yellow obviously goes with the warmness of the rest of the matte shadows on my eye. So I'm kind of liking the contrast in tones here. I think it's surprising but fun, pretty. At least I think so. I'm gonna finish this look off with a little bit of eyeliner and mascara, and I will be back. Alright, here is the final look. I put on a little bit of black eyeliner from Surat, and some mascara from Junkay. I put on the Wayne Goss Luxury Lipstick in Lily. What do you guys think of the final look? I love this eyeshadow combination. Even though it's been a while since I've dipped into this palette, I have no regrets. I mean, I don't know how long I'm going to keep my eyeshadow singles from Makeup Geek now that brand is almost defunct. Just because, you know, using these kinds of products in videos and people can't purchase them anymore, yeah, it's kind of a waste of everyone's time. So I really like these shadows. I think overall this was a really pretty, beautiful look. It's really easy to apply these eyeshadows. They're pretty much goof proof. You know, comparing them to newer brands, you know, it's all relative whether or not you like an eyeshadow. Some people like really high impact foil shadows. These are not that, but the mattes are still really great. You know, they're a little bit drier now that they've been in my collection for a couple years now, but they still perform, you know, no complaints here. So if you want to check out the eyeshadows 40% off or anything else on the website that intrigues you, now is the time before they start selling out, getting out of stock. I've enjoyed doing this video. Honestly, it's a nice little throwback to a brand that hasn't really been on my channel much or at all. When I'm thinking about this brand and like how it compares to now, and like, you know, if you really like Makeup Geek and maybe you want to try something else that's similar, I haven't really gone down the ColourPop train, but a lot of people kind of have a love-hate relationship with that brand in terms of like how many products they come out with. It's kind of crazy how many things they release, it seems like, on a daily basis. But I feel like people really love the eyeshadows from ColourPop. If you're looking for a good, you know, lower cost replacement but really good quality, I think going to ColourPop makes a lot of sense. But if you want maybe more of an upgrade in terms of like really good quality matte shadows, I haven't tried them personally, but I've heard really good things about Viseart, and they have some really great palettes. If you want like a bunch of warms, a bunch of neutrals, they have some really great basic palettes, and that's what I think of when I think of Makeup Geek, like really great basic mattes. And they just have like a variety of shades, and so when I think about like a good upgraded replacement, I think about Viseart, because their palettes, their collections seem to cover a wide range of basic shades that you might need in your collection. But I feel like, I don't know, if you're on the singles train, you love single eyeshadows, I think Viseart's palettes make sense if you're wanting to get more singles while they aren't singles, but you love like a rainbow of mattes. Viseart, I think, is the next step for you. I have heard mixed reviews on their eyeshadow formulas that aren't matte, the shimmers. Some people don't really like, so I would stick with mattes to be safe from that brand. But otherwise, it seems like ColourPop people like everything from them, any formula. But I'm sure the quality probably differs depending on the palette. But that's kind of my suggestion, and that's honestly where I would go if I wanted to replace all these singles. I don't know that I'm going to be jumping to do that, to be honest. I feel like I have a lot of really great neutral palettes and that I can pull from, or quads that I can pull from to create a lot of my looks these days, and I don't really feel the need to go out and replace a whole bunch of singles. I rather, honestly, I think would buy a nicely curated palette than like trying to spend so much money on a singles collection, because at the end of the day, you're probably not going to use the full pan of all these single shadows, even though they look really pretty. I mean, maybe some of these matte colors you'll really use over and over again, but it's not really likely, especially if you keep buying new makeup. It's really hard to use up a full pan of single eyeshadow, in my opinion. But if you are someone that absolutely does not buy a lot of makeup and you use the same eyeshadow over and over, singles eyeshadows probably make more sense for you. But wanted to take a trip down memory lane, talk about the closing, keep you guys up to date on all of that. I'm really kind of sad to see any makeup brand go. I know every brand has their own situation, their own story behind them as to why they're closing, but it seems like sales is really the driving force behind the closure of Makeup Geek, which also makes me really sad. But it sounds like, you know, they were having some issues with restocking their products, unfortunately. So super sad about this. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think about Makeup Geek closing. Were you guys a fan of the brand? Have you stopped shopping from them for a while now, or are you guys still into this brand and we're hoping that it was going to continue? I want to hear your thoughts below. If you like this video, click the thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye guys.